A few of you?
Yeah, last year we talked about it all the time.
Did you?
Mr. Bransmeyer's room.
There you go. We talk about growth mindset a lot as teachers and want students and teachers to understand what it means. So growth mindset and fixed mindset are two different ways of kind of approaching any problem and really approaching life, right? So people that live in a fixed mindset believe that what you know now is what you will know. It means that if something has been hard for you, it's always going to be hard for you. Think about if you've ever heard somebody, or maybe you've said it to yourself, I'm just not good at math. I just read really slow. I just can't do that. Or I'm really good at it, and whatever I do is going to be just as well as I can do. Okay? If you've ever heard that, that's fixed mindset. What I want you to strive for in physics, and I mean, let's be honest, in life, okay, is this idea of growth mindset. Growth mindset means that instead of coming up to a problem and saying, I can't do it, it was hard, and that's great, and I can learn from it, and I can do better, right? I'm sure that if you have been in any sport, or if you have ever done drama or anything like that, your coach or your director has said that to you before, but that's really what we're going for, okay? Is that open-mindedness of, yes, it might be hard now, but I can get better, okay?
I know we can improve.
Exactly. That's what we're talking about. So this fits into physics in particular, given the way that I'm grading this year. And I've mentioned it a little bit, but I wanted to tell you just a little bit more about it today, okay? So you have lived your academic career, and I have too, in this percentage-based grading system, okay? The percentage-based grading system is how we've always gotten grades. The trouble with it is that it's just about collecting points. How many points was this worth? Do I have to do this? Is it going to count? Right? You may have said that at some point, right? Okay. The trouble with it is it does not distinguish between achievement and behavior. So that means that if you're a really good kid and you just get everything turned in, you may pass some class with an A and not really understand anything in that class. Okay? That might be great for your GPA, but it's not great for whether or not you've learned stuff. And a grade on a transcript to me, and a grade on a transcript to pretty much everybody should be, yeah, I know that stuff. If you get an A in Algebra 2, it should mean that you understand Algebra 2, not that you know how to do homework, okay? And I'm not saying that is true or not, but I'm saying in this class, that's what we're going for now, okay? My issue with it is that it discourages risk-taking. It means that people don't try as hard or don't go out of their way to learn things. And really the game is, what's my grade? How do I get an A? How many more worksheets do I have to fill in? Or how much extra credit do I have to get my grade up to an A or to a B or whatever your goal grade is, okay? That's not what we're going for here. What I'm going for here is what I would consider a shift in thinking. And I'll be completely honest with you guys, it's a shift for me just as much as it is for you, okay? As a teacher and as a student, there's a big change that we're talking about. We're going to use standards-based grading in physics this year, okay? The game is that it focuses on achievement and mastery of content. So we're trying to get you to understand the skills and objectives. And I don't care how many times it takes you. If it takes you a bunch of times to figure it out, that's great, because that means that you're putting the time in to get it, okay? That is absolutely fine. The thing I love is that it encourages risk-taking. It encourages you to communicate with me, man, Ms. K, I did not get that. Not just my grade on that test was terrible, but like, this is the thing I don't understand, okay? Or I totally nailed it, like I got that. That stuff I get. That's awesome too. The reason I love it is because it makes you ask the question, what can I do to improve my learning? What can I do to improve what I know, not just what do I need to do to get an A? Question.
You know, if I were to become president, I would probably sign an executive order that would switch all grading in public schools to the standards grading system.
Yeah.
If I were to become president.
I'd vote for you, Dimitri.
Which is unlikely.
You know. So
unlikely with all the scandals.
There is that too. So here's the thing. Is that as a teacher, it totally changes the way that I have to grade. And as a student, it changes the way that you approach your grades.
I mean, I could be the first autistic president.
I mean, why not, right? So here's the thing.
I mean,
Is that when you look at your grades, it's not going to be a point system. The nice thing about this, friends, if you didn't do well, I mean, let's be honest, this has totally happened to me as a student. You like mess up a test. You get a really bad score on a test, and then the rest of the trimester, you're trying to pull yourself up out of that hole, yeah?
eventually.
Okay? That's not what we're doing anymore.
Like,
You figure it out, you got it. We're good, okay? So instead of points, again, it's a big shift, friends. Instead of points, I'm going to grade based on this scale, okay? And I'm going to ask that you be patient with me as we work through it, but I want you to trust me that this is a really great thing. It's a good thing for you, it's a good thing for your learning, and it's a great thing for our communication. So on a quiz or a test, for each standard, you will get one of these 4 scores as long as you do a section, okay? If you skip a section, you'd get a 0 because I have no evidence. But as long as you try it, a 5 indicates that you've shown some limited progress. That means you maybe know some of the words, but you don't really know what it means, okay? You're kind of there, you're taking baby steps, but we haven't gotten there yet, okay? A 7, again, it's not 7 points, but it's a 7 on that scale. A 7 says, you're making good progress. You have absolutely taken some of the stuff that we've done, you're applying it, but you might need a little more help from me, from your peers, from all of that. Can I finish this little thing and then I will absolutely answer your question? Is that okay?
Oh, I was just going to tell you it's 12.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. You're the best. A 9 is what you're shooting for, okay? A 9 to me says, hey, you can do this. You're demonstrating mastery and application of the skill or the standard. A 9 is what you're shooting for. That means you should say, yeah, I got that, okay? Because there's always that possibility for going above and beyond, right? And I always want to push students to strive to go above and beyond. We do have a 10 as well. Not every standard and not every assessment will you be able to earn a 10, but a 10 is there to just have that opportunity for me to document, like, man, that person like really gets that more than what we've talked about in class. But again, a 9 is great.
What do I got so far?
Hold on, okay? So how does this translate to your letter grades at the end of the trimester? It will translate. It's not going to be like a perfect bam, this is what it is. So I'm going to wait and tell you about that later, okay? What I want to tell you about right now is what the scores on your quiz and on your lab mean, so that you can look at them and they mean something to you, okay? But my belief is that if you got all 9s on everything, that would be an A, right? That is what we're shooting for. So you do not have to aim for a 10, you're aiming for a 9. That is that will get you
What if you
the
want
coveted
to aim for
A.
a 10?
What's that?
What if you want to aim for a 10?
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Pretend if,
Go ahead.
just hypothetical.
Hypothetical.
If someone were to get all 10s, what would that grade be? An A++ or?
An A.
That would
yeah.
still be an A?
To me, yeah.
Okay.
Are we doing okay so far? Yeah? Okay. So that's where we're kind of going. I just wanted to show you what the standards look like. Okay? So you've seen these before. I've put them up before. They were on your quiz, and they'll be every standard that's assessed will be on that quiz so you know what it is. Okay? Standard 1A1 was drawing and interpreting diagrams that represent the object moving at a constant velocity. So there are a couple of questions on the Buggy Lab that asked you to look at the graph you made and talk about it. I assessed this standard on those 2 questions. I also assessed this standard on the first 2 questions of your quiz. Those were the 2 graphing parts of the quiz, okay? And so for those, you got either a 5, 7, 9, or 10. The second standard, 1A.2, was what I assessed on the last 2 questions of the quiz, the ones that were the motion questions, right? Okay? And again, that's what I'm looking for. I'm going to hand your quizzes back in just a second, but before I do that, I just want to clarify one other thing. Okay? So, again, these don't equate to points, and I want to make that really clear. What these really do is give you a sense of where you're at and give me a sense of where you're at. So if I'm grading something and I see that somebody got a 5, to me that's saying, ooh, I need to talk to that person. And so what I'm going to do is, pull you aside at some point and say, hey, let's get together and talk about that so that I know that you know it. A 7 to me is you might have just made a couple of little mistakes. Not the biggest deal in the world, but you might have made some mistakes. You can maybe figure them out on your own, or maybe it's going to take a little bit more work. And if it does, then you come to me and let me know. And in either of these cases, a 5 or a 7, you are welcome to take a reassessment of that material. Okay? Everybody, even those people that wrote a 10, will have the opportunity and will be given the opportunity to assess that standard again at the end of the unit on the test as well. Okay, so know that you will be assessed regardless. But in this case, if you want more evidence, you want to show me that you've got some more stuff, you can absolutely do that here. Okay, question or just hanging out? Okay, cool. All right. Big picture questions here before I give you your stuff back. Okay, we're not going to have a ton of time to go through things, but a couple of little things that I want you to know. First thing is that I want you to know that I'm not trying to keep anything secret. My goal with this is to be as transparent as possible so that it means something as opposed to, oh, I got an 80 on the test. Like, what does that mean, right? I want you to understand it. So I'm going to hand these back. If there's a question that you have about what your score is, then let me know. We may wait and talk about that tomorrow or Monday, and we will talk about when the reassessment opportunity